Good morning/afternoon, everyone. Today, we're diving into a vital topic, understanding drug laws and sentencing in the United States. We'll explore the differences between federal and state penalties, examine the roles judges play in sentencing, and discuss how these policies impact our society as a whole. I'm excited to take you through this comprehensive overview. So let's get started. Federal drug laws are designed to be strict, with the Controlled Substances Act serving as the main legal framework. These laws impose harsh penalties for both drug trafficking and possession. Sentencing can vary greatly depending on factors like the type of drug and the amount involved. For trafficking offenses, the law often mandates minimum sentences that judges must follow, which means there's less flexibility in sentencing. When it comes to trafficking large quantities of narcotics, the consequences are severe. Prison terms can extend for decades, and hefty fines are common. On the other hand, penalties for simple possession tend to be less harsh but still carry real consequences, including possible jail time, probation, and fines. In recent years, there have been federal reforms aimed at addressing sentencing disparities by adjusting mandatory minimums for some drugs. While these reforms have made some progress, mandatory minimum sentences still play a significant role in federal drug law enforcement. Overall, the system remains stringent, reflecting a strong federal stance against drug offenses. When we look at state penalties for drug offenses, there's a wide range of approaches. Some states take a very tough stance, with harsh sentencing laws that include long prison terms and mandatory minimum sentences. These strict policies often apply not only to trafficking, but even to simple possession of controlled substances. The goal in these states is primarily to punish and deter drug-related crimes through severe penalties. On the other hand, several states have shifted toward a more lenient and health-focused approach. They prioritize treatment and diversion programs designed to help individuals recover rather than just incarcerating them. For example, states like California and Colorado have significantly reduced penalties for possession and even legalized certain substances. This reflects a move toward rehabilitation and addressing drug use as a public health issue instead of solely a criminal one. These contrasting approaches highlight the complex landscape of drug law enforcement across the country. Sentencing guidelines today serve as an essential framework that courts rely on to decide appropriate punishments for drug offenses. They take into account several important factors, such as the nature and severity of the crime, the type and amount of drug involved, and the offender's prior criminal record. Beyond these, other elements can also affect sentencing decisions. Things like whether the defendant cooperated with authorities, their specific role in the offense, or if any violence was involved. The main goal of these guidelines is to strike a balance between consistency across cases and fairness to the individual. Rather than imposing fixed sentences, the guidelines typically suggest a range of possible punishments, which allows judges to adjust sentences based on the unique circumstances of each case. This flexibility helps ensure that justice is tailored and appropriate for every situation. Judges have a crucial responsibility when it comes to sentencing. They use established sentencing guidelines as a framework, but they also carefully consider the unique details of each case. This means weighing aggravating factors, like prior convictions or a leadership role in a drug trafficking operation, against mitigating factors such as it being a first offense or the defendant's efforts toward rehabilitation. While the guidelines provide important structure, judges have the discretion to tailor sentences to fit the specific circumstances and ensure fairness. Additionally, courts take into account statutory requirements, plea agreements, and any recent policy changes, all of which can influence the final sentence within the limits of the law. Drug laws and sentencing practices have played a major role in increasing the prison population in the United States. These policies, particularly harsh penalties and mandatory minimum sentences, have not affected all communities equally. Racial minorities have been disproportionately targeted, which has only deepened existing social inequalities. Instead of prioritizing treatment and rehabilitation, the system has focused heavily on incarceration. This approach has contributed to overcrowded prisons and has had lasting effects on society, disrupting families and limiting economic opportunities for many individuals. The impact goes beyond just those incarcerated. It affects entire families and community structures. Because of these significant consequences, There is an ongoing debate about reforming drug policies to not only reduce incarceration rates, but also to address the systemic disparities embedded within the current system.